Hello and welcome to the CX Files for March 19th, 2026. My name is Mark Hillary and I'm in Sao Paulo, Brazil.
And I'm Peter Ryan. I am in Montreal. Mark, always good to catch up and have a chat. And you have got a very interesting topic that we're going to be diving into today, one that I know that you've talked a lot about on LinkedIn and with me personally. Throw it open to us. What are we going to be discussing today?
Yeah, well, we're talking about WhatsApp, and I suppose if you broaden that out, asynchronous support and the idea that you don't always need an immediate response when you're trying to get help from a customer service channel. And we're talking with Gareth Bray, who's at Premier CX over in the UK. And Gareth's interesting because he was actually on the Meta team that helped to roll out WhatsApp across Europe. So he's got a lot of deep background knowledge of how the system works and how it can work for businesses. But at the same time, now he's giving companies advice on how to use this. So I think that you've definitely experienced WhatsApp for support, haven't you?
Yeah, I have. To varying degrees of success. Sometimes it works really well. Other times it can be very frustrating. But the reality too is that WhatsApp is in a lot of different markets becoming a go-to that people are using to try and get issues resolved. Now, in full disclosure, in Canada, we're not there yet. It's not at that point, but I do know in a lot of different countries, whether it's in Europe, in Latin America, or otherwise, we're seeing a lot more support being offered by WhatsApp and also these levels of support improving too.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, Brazil and India are the number one and two channels using WhatsApp. Certainly, here in Brazil, I find it funny when I go and visit the US or Europe, and then I find that people have to make a telephone call to talk to a company
Yeah.
because WhatsApp is so pervasive here that I can WhatsApp to book a hotel. I can WhatsApp to book a barber's appointment. I can WhatsApp to get a supermarket delivery. So it's extremely pervasive, and it cuts across all different types of business. And I found it very useful. I mean, the classic old kind of IVR that works on voice contact centers, and which everybody hates because you have to listen to all the choices. That sort of system, which is very basic. I mean, we're not talking about AI stuff here, but it works very well on WhatsApp because immediately three choices can pop up, and then you make a choice, and immediately another couple of choices pop up. So there's a lot here that can be investigated that's really low cost, and it's proven technology that I think people who are trying to figure out how do we roll out AI to improve our customer interface may in fact find a lot to explore here.
Well, I'm excited to hear a little bit more, Mark. So, can I recommend that we dive right on into this WhatsApp discussion and find out where this very interesting channel is taking us from a CX angle?
Hi, Gareth. It's great to get you on the CX files. First, just as we kick off, then, could you introduce Premier CX? Where are you based and what's your focus?
Yeah, hi. Thanks for having me. I am Gareth. I'm from Premier CX, and we are based in Hampshire in the United Kingdom. And we are a CX consultancy. We help our customers with a number of challenges, but mostly kind of things like call deflection, average handling time. And we do that with a selection of kind of digital first initiatives like better audio, using video for FAQs, and of course, helping our customers leverage WhatsApp at scale.
It's become really important. Certainly here, where I am in Brazil, I use WhatsApp all the time to communicate with businesses. But when I go to North America, when I go over to Europe, it seems to be less. I mean, how has it become such an important channel, but maybe is not seen as so essential in places like the US, for example?
Yeah, the US is kind of an outlier because it's one of the few markets where WhatsApp doesn't have something like what we call messaging primacy, where it isn't the most used messaging app. Elsewhere in the world, it is. And when WhatsApp started as a business tool, it definitely came in waves, like certain geographies caught on quicker than others. And there are a lot of reasons for that. Like Brazil and India were on it immediately. And that's because it was a lot easier to integrate in those areas because there was no kind of legacy technology. Everything was kind of born in the cloud, so it was easier to integrate. And a lot of people were already on meta platforms, et cetera, et cetera. But it's grown everywhere. It really did go kind of Brazil first, then India, then like APAC, then Middle East. Europe is now massively growing using WhatsApp for business. And you can see that in the numbers. So 1 billion people a week message a business on WhatsApp now. And the number of businesses that are using WhatsApp doubles year on year. And like I said, the US is an outlier, but the US is an outlier because WhatsApp has a smaller user base. But that user base in America is now massively growing, like hugely growing. It's like got well over 100 million users already in the US. So it is catching up, and it will become more prevalent there.
Yeah, I mean, when you explain it, then do you think of it mostly as a messaging app or a social platform, or something that customers are now demanding? I mean, is there like a demand from the customers themselves asking businesses to use this channel?
Yeah, to answer your first question, I definitely see it as a messaging app. It's not a social platform in the same way that sort of Instagram or Facebook or any of those kind of medias are. And in terms of people calling out for it, I think for a business, it's always a good idea to meet your customers where they are. And most of the world outside of the US is on WhatsApp. And actually, when people kind of start using it and they start engaging with a business where WhatsApp is offered as a channel to communicate, and they find out you can do all these great things like all the menus, and you can send your documents in and you can get videos back that gives you instructions on how to do stuff. People start actively preferring it as a channel. And if you're conversely giving bad customer service, it is proven that people will vote with their wallets. So I think it's a combination of those factors. It's the ease of use, it's the popularity amongst the customers, that really kind of, once customers do see it, they do want it.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because, I've talked to lots of BPOs about integrating video into calls, and the value of being able to see a problem rather than just hearing a customer describe it. And, I'm just thinking of my own experience. I recently called up an internet engineer to try and improve the Wi-Fi in my home. And the first thing he said was, turn on your camera and show me, like, where is your router right now? And, and so it was like immediately the guy knew how much cable he would need and where an additional router would need to be. And that would have required a site visit, coming out in person to actually look around. And that was immediately fixed just by using WhatsApp. And I think the point I'm trying to make here is that it doesn't require any additional infrastructure. If you're a company trying to serve your customers, all of this stuff is already out there and supported by Meta.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you do obviously need some kind of software to get it through to an agent and manage it at scale and all of that sort of stuff. And, some customers we work with, we're providing that. Some customers we work with might already have a platform that does that, but they don't know how to implement. They don't know what best practice looks like. So we come in and help them with that. And I think with the video thing, there is an important distinction, because live video over the WhatsApp API is not available yet. It will be. It's on the roadmap. But actually, a lot of agents don't like live video. It's really not popular amongst staff. But on WhatsApp, you also have the ability to do either audio or video clips. So you can do exactly what you've just said. You can record it, you can send it, you still get all the benefits, but you don't get that downside in terms of your internal staff.
Well, one of the things that I do like personally is the asynchronous nature of being able to use it. So when I'm trying to talk to my water utility company, for example, I can just ping a WhatsApp with a question and they'll get back to me in a couple of minutes. And this is compared to the normal chat experience where you have to sit there looking at the screen waiting for the agent to respond. And if you ever, even if you sort of tab onto another window to look at it, then you go back and find that they've ended the chat because you were not sitting there waiting. So is this move to sort of asynchronous support something that you're seeing some of your clients really asking for then?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a great point. It's arguably the most important point. It's like the silver bullet for CS because ultimately, if your aim is to serve your customer and be convenient, then asynchronous is the way forward. Like a lot of people, we're very time poor these days. And I can't do the call first thing in the morning because I've got to do the school run. I might be a nurse or a police officer or a firefighter on a shift pattern. Like your hours and mine don't necessarily overlap. So, but if you as a business can say to me, okay, look, don't have anyone available right now, but rather than you sit on hold or sit and fear the disconnect on a web chat, then how about next time I've got an agent free, I'll just WhatsApp you back. And do you know what? If that's not a good time for you to answer, it's WhatsApp. You don't, you don't expect your friends to answer instantly. You don't expect to answer them instantly. It's the same with the business. Answer at your convenience. And we find that when you offer people that choice, like we had a major supermarket in the UK. When they started doing WhatsApp, their CSAT went up and it went up. Their CSAT on WhatsApp was over and above that of their voice channel, their live voice channel, because people love that. People love being able to deal with the problem at their convenience. So you've got that side of it. And I think that is super important. But then you look at what it does for the contact center as well. And there's a Forrester report on this. You can download it. It's third-party stuff. This isn't my statistic. But on average, call centers found they were getting 54% agent efficiencies. Contact center reports say that dealing with customers on text is 85% cheaper. And of course, you've got like that ability to, you can do one voice call or your average agent can do 3 or 4 WhatsApp at the same time.
Yeah.
So this is one of those rare things where what the customer prefers is also preferable for the contact center because it lowers costs, it increases CSAT, it makes agents more efficient. Like, how often do you get that kind of circle of benefits for both parties?
Yeah. The classic win-win that consultants always talk about, but this time it's a reality. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, are there any different types of business or even industries where you're seeing the adoption higher than others? I mean, you were just talking about retail there, and that seems like a good industry where customers might have a lot of different types of question, like opening hours or location of a shop or stuff like that. So, I mean, are there any leading industries?
Yeah, I mean, retail and e-tail is huge. And it's not just on the service side as well, because once you've got people used to using it, if you're a retailer or an e-tailer, then sending an abandoned cart notification to those same customers very quickly turns a cost center into a profit center. So that is huge. And we see high uptake from things like utilities. You mentioned your water company. Like, if you need to do something like a leak test or whatever, getting those instructions over WhatsApp is vastly preferable because you don't want to hang around on the phone while you've got to go and get a manhole cover up and find your water meter and all of that sort of stuff. That's just stressful for all concerned. Anyone that sends a lot of like one-time password SMSs and things like that would be well advised to shift to WhatsApp because you can save, like, that is dead cost, right? Nobody loves spending money on 1 million SMSs a year to do OTP, where you could knock 30% right out of that bill immediately by transitioning to WhatsApp. And then you get this lovely kind of button experience for the customer where they can just copy the code directly out of WhatsApp. So you get a way better customer experience and you knock 30% off of your bill, minimum 30%, just from transitioning OTP from SMS to WhatsApp. And of course, with WhatsApp, you know that people are going to get it, people are going to read it, and they're going to read it usually, well, 80% of the time in under 5 minutes. So it's actually more reliable as well. And you can get all the metrics back on if it's been delivered. So depending on what you're doing, whether it's inbound, outbound, or OTP, like multiple different verticals get multiple different benefits.
And you mentioned there that a company sending a message out to a customer can expect them to see it within a few minutes. Does that work the other way around as well? I mean, what's the sort of expected response time if I send a message then?
Well, I think this is the great thing about asynchronous. To go back to that, the expected response time is whatever expectation you set, whatever you think you can do. I find that when customers don't know if and when somebody is going to get back to them, that's when they get really unhappy about the service they're receiving. But if you say to them, sort of, hey, look, we'll message you back. These are our office hours. We usually message back same day. Like, the difference is, again, to go back to, you're not demanding their attention, so you can get away with that, and they like it. And you're able to work within the constraints of your business without having to, suddenly get a load of extra agents and everything. Set the expectation correctly and offer a good service when you do respond that's convenient and uses all those great things that we've discussed. And you can pretty much respond when you want.
And I mean, that comes down to the question about AI, plugging in AI as well then. Are you seeing that people are mainly having human agent responses on WhatsApp, or are some people like plugging in AI and getting a bot to respond?
I think it's always good to have some automation in WhatsApp. Yeah. And I would say AI comes in a few forms, right? You've got kind of what you term old school basic AI, like decision tree, buttons, go-to things. And I think that still has a place. That can still be really useful. If it's, if you're troubleshooting, for instance, try step A, try step B, you can automate all of that within a WhatsApp flow. Yeah. And I think there's still a use for that. And then you come to kind of the more ChatGPT-like experiences, the kind of the bot. And yeah, we've got people that are doing that. And we've got products that do that, and it's absolutely, a workable solution. I think there is a difference though. When people sometimes talk about agentic AI, they think that getting a bot to scrape your FAQs and then answer FAQs is somehow agentic. And I would disagree. One of the great things about WhatsApp is that you can hook it into your CRM. You can hook it into your ticketing system, all of this sort of things. And you can actually make changes. So you can have a bot that sort of like says, okay, I want to know about my delivery. Fantastic. I actually need to change that delivery. And it's at the point you've got those two things married up where people can come in, they can ask the question, but it's that ability to affect change. I can change my delivery date. I can update my address. I can do these things within this flow, within this AI. I can accomplish what I want to, and I'm not just being fobbed off with what is effectively badly automated FAQs. Because agentic means execution. Agentic means that your customer has come in and been able to do what they want to do. Now, if they can do that through an AI, they might know it's AI, but do they care? Because they've achieved what they want to achieve on first call resolution or first contact resolution, and they've had a good experience, and it's been instant, and you can do that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Like, that's where good AI comes into play. But you could do that still in the old school method with decision trees. You could do that with a ChatGPT experience, but it's about that execution more than just, oh, look, I can randomly answer some questions that I've ingested from a PDF.
Yeah. Well, I think the decision trees work a lot better on WhatsApp than on a voice like IVR, because normally you'd have to sit there and listen to the voice saying, press 1 for this, press 2 for that. Whereas on the screen, you can immediately see, hit the button here to select this. And you can tap through a decision tree much faster, using WhatsApp.
Yeah. And there's also a kind of element of customer experience. I remember back in the day, like you phone someone now and you get press 1 for this, press 2 for that. And a few years back, quite a few years back now, I'm showing my age now, there was this trend for these natural language things where like you'd ring up and go, oh, tell us what you want. And you would say, you know, check my balance. And
Yeah.
half the time it would understand you, assuming you didn't have a strong regional accent, the robot was in a good mood, etc., etc. And it was funky, but it was less effective. And a lot of people went back to having the touch tones, like the press one, press two, because when you put
Mm.
that on your customer, when you say, tell me what you want, you're kind of putting them on the spot, and they don't know your terminology for stuff. They don't know which
Mm.
department to ask for. You're kind of you're not you might be giving freedom, but you're not giving guidance. And actually, guidance can be more important than freedom, depending on
Yeah.
what the customer wants to achieve. So I think there's a place for both, 100%. But I think
Yeah.
that's all part of how you build good customer experience on WhatsApp. And more than the technology, the key thing that like Premier CX provides is that knowledge and ability and experience around creating good customer experience in that specific channel with its specific nuances, making sure you're using all of its features, all of its benefits, so that you're getting those efficiencies, those cost savings. But, and I think this is always the North Star, your customers having a good time dealing with you as a
Mm.
company.
So, I mean, what's the risk of not exploring this? I mean, if I'm already offering voice, email, and I've got a sort of online chat solution but it's a sort of synchronous solution, then what's the risk to me of saying, well, I've got this all sorted out anyway, I don't need an asynchronous solution?
I think the risk to any business about not meeting their customers where they are is that eventually somebody else will. And if you have a bad experience, what's the statistic? You tell five people. If you have a
Mm.
good experience, like you opened this conversation, oh yeah, I was like talking to my water company, and I hear that more and more. It's like, oh, do you know what? I was able to use WhatsApp for this the other day. It was really cool, and they cite the buttons and the videos and things like that.
Yeah.
And it's those kind of nice touches that that keep customers sticky. And I think there's always the customer retention aspect to it. I think the larger risk, though, is every contact center manager I deal with is being asked to do more with less.
Mm.
And as we kind of talked about earlier, this is one of those silver bullets that genuinely does allow you to do more with less. And if you don't start investing now in those things, then the do more with less demands are going to become too intense to the point where they break core systems, core people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And ultimately, it does take time to spin these things up. It takes time to tune them to make them good. So I think like getting ahead of that now, getting on trend with how people talk to each other, and making use of all those benefits in terms of the asynchronous, the automation, the AI,
Mm.
that's going to be super important for anyone that's managing large scale customer contact.
Something that's also worth saying is that I think in Brazil we have some features that are not commonly used in Europe or North America as well. I mean, we've had payment in WhatsApp for years, and stuff like marketplace. If I want to find a Chinese restaurant that uses WhatsApp, I can do that, and so it's using the geographic awareness of where I am and where local businesses are to connect me. So there's all these other features, and I guess that Meta must roll these out region by region, but so there's other stuff that will come eventually as well.
Oh yeah, 100%. So you're absolutely right on the payment thing. It's Brazil and India as we sit today. I did mention earlier that the two regions that went first, big style on WhatsApp, were Brazil and India. So you can follow the trend, right? We talked earlier about how you can't do live video on WhatsApp
Mm.
at scale today. However,
Mm.
like 6 months ago, you couldn't do audio, and now you can. 6 months from
Mm.
now, you'll be able to do video.
Yeah.
When we first started, I actually used to work at WhatsApp. I was one of the team that I was the third employee in for the API in the EMEA team, and I ended up running the EMEA team. And like when I started, we didn't have easy onboarding for businesses. It was all done on Google Sheets. So we put that in. We didn't have buttons. We didn't have list messages. So all of that got added in. The kind of we didn't have catalogs, that came later. All of these things. So the service does keep getting better and better, and it offers more options and more options and more options. It the scale at which it's being adopted now is massive, and I think as all of these new kind of features come out, and you're absolutely right. Like you don't have to run that through your existing contact center provider, whatever it is. You can use these things without massive lift and shift and overhaul. Or if you need it to speak to whoever's providing your contact center software, then it can do that. You can do it either way. You've got a lot of choice. But the important thing is the features, like the amount of stuff it enables you to do, and the fact that it will keep getting better and better and better is one of the core reasons it's being adopted.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to wrap up with like a question about the killer advice you would give to a customer service manager who says, I'm already using SMS to reach clients. Why would I need WhatsApp? I think you might have just answered a few of those points there seem to make that point, but I guess it's worth maybe just repeating how do you sort of sell it when someone just thinks it's just another messenger app?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I do when I'm saying, like, someone saying, what's the difference between this and SMS, is I will show them the automation. I will show them how they can diagnose problems remotely and how they can give large instructional sets over video quickly, and how that can knock 45 minutes out of an hour of an agent's time. Yeah. I will show them those great features we've just gone through. And, it's worth making the point that, like, nobody reads their emails in any sort of quick time these days. They've got massive spam filters on, so that's even if they get through. Apple have just introduced a spam filter for SMS effectively, so that shows you which way SMS is going. But SMS it's not true two-way. It's not, click here, press here, do this. Oh, look, you've got an outcome. In the same way that WhatsApp is. WhatsApp is a completely different animal, and it can do much more for you as a business, and it can do much more for you as a customer. It's not the same as SMS. And yet, conversely, it can be a lot cheaper.
Yeah. All right, Gareth, that's a great introduction. I think a great exploration. Let's wrap up there. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to the CX Files podcast. We really appreciate your feedback and suggestions. You can reach myself, Mark Hillary, or Peter Ryan via LinkedIn. Please also leave a rating or review on your favourite podcast provider, as that helps more people to find us. As always, we'd like to thank Chris Haig at Traction Media for the CX Files graphics. See you next week.